Thank you all for being here. I hope you got something to eat. We're going to start with a prayer. Ask Freddie Yoder to come up.
Good evening. If you would stay seated and just bow your head in reverence. Our Father and our God, continue to bless the humble servants of this board, the LCIA. Bless the volunteers that work to improve our community. Bless their families that are here tonight and the families at home, particularly their children. Watch over the police, the firemen, the EMRs that protect us always, even as we sleep. Inspire us to continue to be the other-centered and with the best interests of the majority at heart. Instill in our elected officials a sense of honesty and integrity, and be that good example for all others to follow. We ask this in Christ's name, amen.
Thank you, Freddie. And Brian Anderson is going to lead us in the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the September 10th meeting. Joe moved, Mark seconded, all in favor? Okay. We're going to go a little out of order. We have two judicial candidates here, and they have other commitments. So we're going to go ahead and take them, and we're going to give them the 2 minutes that we allow our candidates. And I will say this was a very crowded election. It's for traffic court, and these two guys rose to the top, so that's a great thing that they were able to do that. So I will start with candidate Clint Smith. Either way.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, my name is Clint Smith, and I'm honored to have an opportunity to appear in front of you. I'm here with my wife, Dr. Cheryl Smith. We've been married for almost 30 years. We are actually members of the Willwood community. We're on the board, so we work very closely with the Catholic Church and trying to make sure that we do all that we can. We have 3 beautiful kids, all attended public schools and all very active in the community. I am running for traffic court because I was really honored and blessed to have been identified and selected by the Supreme Court to serve as judge in traffic court upon the unfortunate death of Judge Dennis Snell. And what that did was gave me an opportunity to see inside what happens in the court. And what I realized is that some things that we can really do better. And the thing that I really want to do is take the judgeship from the bench back into the community. And what I mean by that is I want to come back into the community, empowering the community through outreach and education, because I learned that a lot of people had no idea what the laws, rules, and statutes were and are in traffic courts, because so many of us got our license when we're 15, 16 years old. And there's nothing that is out that can really tell us what those changes are. We need to improve the efficiency of traffic court. That includes updating the computer system. But in the meantime, while we're working on that, I want to do outreach to the community. I also want to go into the high schools and talk to them about the dangers and repercussions of drinking and driving. I found when I was on the bench that too many young kids came in not really understanding the serious implications legally regarding that. So I really want to do that outreach. I am number 41 on the ballot. I am very, very comfortable that I can go in from day one and make these reforms and changes that are so desperately needed in traffic court. We're going to bring a better level, a higher level of professionalism and outreach and integrity to the bench. And I ask you for your support, and I ask that we actually have early voting ongoing now. It's through Saturday, and election is on November 16th. Again, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Ms. LeBlanc, and I look forward to hopefully getting your vote on November 16th. Thank you again.
Thank you. Next up, we have candidate Stephen Jupiter.
Good evening, folks. My name is Stephen Jupiter, and I'm also a candidate for traffic court judge. I had the opportunity to meet you all, some of you, during the primary when I came and spoke before you back in September, I believe. But I want to, again, thank you for allowing me to speak to you. And I just want to tell you a little bit about my background. I'm born and raised right here in New Orleans, went to St. Leo the Great School. Come from a family of 12. I'm the 11th of 12 children. And growing up in that family definitely taught me something about a commitment towards family and a commitment towards community. I graduated from Brother Martin High School and Xavier University. I'm running for traffic court judge because I see a problem in traffic court where it's just really not efficient. And I think that I can make a change by offering some solutions to the efficiency of traffic court, such as consolidating cases for officers. A lot of cases are continued because you have officers who are not able to always be there. I'd like to take all of those officers' tickets and allow them to come to traffic court maybe once a week where we can resolve all of those issues. Something else we really need to do in traffic court is update the technology. Several people just simply want to pay their tickets when they run a red light or some other traffic offense. And it's really not set up to where people can do that online very easily, or if they can call and pay it. The money is there. Lots of the money that's generated from traffic court goes back to the city and is put in the general fund. I think if some of that money was able to stay in traffic court, we could update the technology, and it would be a lot easier for people to be able to pay their tickets online. Now, you know, I know there's been a lot of talk about controversy and there's a bad stigma over in traffic court. And I'm telling you that I'm running for this office because I want to change that. You know, I do agree with my opponent that we need to bring traffic court back into the community, but I also think that we need to look at the way that we're treating people who are accused of traffic offenses. I think that for minor offenses, sometimes we need to look more to, instead of taking money out of people's pockets, is to make them pay for their offenses in different ways. You know, there's a lot of community groups that do a lot of good work in the community. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm very passionate about what I want to do in traffic court. But I'm asking for your vote, I'm asking for your support. November 16th, I'm number 36. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, just a couple remarks I want to make. I've received some complaints about Voodoo Fest and the noise and parking. And to be honest with you, there really weren't a lot of comments about it leading up to the fest. There were a couple real passionate complaints after the fest. I found out that there was in fact some sort of meeting with civic associations before the festival. We were not invited, to the best of my knowledge. I did receive an invitation. And I just want to mention that if you had issues with it or someone you know had issues with it, we'd like to get in front of it next year and see if there's anything we can do to address the concerns. So please ask them to email president@lakeviewcivic.org and we'll make sure we've got a voice if in fact there are some complaints that we can work out.
Sure.
Okay, I wanted to next just do some thank yous. The Safety Expo that Val put on was excellent, very informative. She also did Night Out Against Crime, which had over 20 parties, was also excellent. Brian Anderson was in charge of the picnic this past Saturday. It was a huge success. Thank you, Brian. Ty Savant did the gardening event that was at St. Paul's. That was awesome. It's just really wonderful how many great volunteers and how much we have going on at any given time in Lakeview. Often there's conflicts. That's how much we have going on. So that's wonderful. I never want to forget to thank Jan Lockwood in the back. And Mark Udo is our wonderful chef tonight. And Ralph Schindler is our technological person. So thank you. And before I forget, our next meeting is January 21st. Oh, one last thing. Brian Anderson, who I'm going to mention in another context in a moment, was named to Gambit's 40 under 40 list as an outstanding member of the community. So let's give him a little round of applause. Congratulations, Brian. Okay, next we're going to do nominations, and then we're going to get to recognition and comments of our attending public officials. This is the meeting, since we changed our year. It used to be March we would do this, but now we're on a regular year. And we're going to ask for a motion to open the nominations of the officers and members of the board. Would anyone give me a motion for that?
So moved.
Okay, and, all right, do we need the name for the minutes, Judge? Okay. Anybody second? Freddie Yoder seconds. All in favor? All right, I'd like to present the slate of officers. President Anne LeBlanc, Vice President Freddie Yoder, Treasurer Tim Lott, Secretary Michelle Douglas, President-elect Brian Anderson, and members Todd Wallace, ex officio, Ralph Schindler, Laura Laban, Val Cupid, Pepe Bruno, Glenn Stout, Tom Schnatz, Joe Girusso, Mark Udo, and a new member that has been nominated is Rory Bellina, who's at our membership table, and you may know him. He's very active and does awesome things for us. So that is the nominations that our nominating committee came up with. Many of these people, as you know, are already on the board, in fact, all but one. So we are all willing to serve, but at this time I'd like to ask if there's any nominations from the floor. Okay, that makes it easy. I had this whole list of what to do if someone raised their hand, so I can skip that. Okay, so I'm going to ask for a motion to close the nominations.
Move the nominations be closed.
Thank you, Judge. Any seconds? Ralph seconds that. All in favor? Okay, so now that they're closed, and I do have a cheat sheet here, we're going to ask for a motion to accept the slate as presented by the nominating committee. I need one more motion.
So moved.
So moved. Who seconds? Okay, thank you, Jan. All in favor? All right, you're stuck with all of us again, plus Rory. Okay, now we're moving on to the recognition and comments by attending public officials. I want to recognize Judge Franz Ziblich is here from Criminal District Court. If you'd like to come up. I have a little story. My husband had to serve on a criminal court jury, and Judge Ziblich was the one that went in front of the whole pool and talked to him about what a great service it was, and my husband was so impressed by him. So here you go.
Thank you so much. Again, Judge Franz Ziblich. I live right down the street, as most of you know. I'm running for Judge 2, 1 year from now. So I'm just getting an early start. I hope everybody that is with me before will continue to be with me. We've done an amazing job in the last couple of years. The docket I inherited was the 10th most loaded docket in the building. I just learned today that I have the lowest docket in the building. So it's going to be more time to do other things. Get to know some people around here again, spend a little time out of the courthouse, and anybody needs me at any time, I'm available. Just ask Ann, call Pepe, call whomever you want, and don't forget to vote next year. Thanks.
Next up, we have Council Member Susan Guidry's representative, Enrico Sterling. One of the most responsive people in city government.
Thank you, Ann. Good evening, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Enrico Sterling. I'm with Council Member Susan Guidry's office. I'm going to start off with something you just talked about. First and foremost, apparently, is there was a big issue with Voodoo Fest. And I'm the person who hears about these complaints. Usually I hear about them on Monday. I started hearing about them about Friday after the first guitar chord. Usually I am tied down at work. However, I was able to get out that day and actually go experience Voodoo Fest. It was, as everyone has made it out to be, it was unlivable. If you were someone right there, especially right off of the Say, I drove up and around the park a couple of times to get an idea of where it was. And mind you, this is early in the festival, so this is before whatever loud band is going on was going on. I'm out of date. I turned to that point where I'm the guy screaming, "Turn it down, you hippies!" So I guess 9 Inch Nails, or I don't even know who was playing, Rage Against or whatever, but they're pretty loud. So instantly I sent this to Colonel Mark Jernigan. Lieutenant Colonel Jerry Sneed, Homeland Security, let him know we have an issue. with Voodoo. Again, we've had this problem before with Voodoo, where there was music, and they do have a civic meeting every year, they do. And they brought up Lakewood, they brought up LCIA. And what they said, well, no, they didn't. That is correct, because they said that a number of years ago, they had talked to LCIA, and LCIA said that they just don't have problems with Voodoo. And I just the person who gets all the problems, I can say that's true. For the last 3 or 4 years, we just haven't had those problems with Voodoo. They've moved the festival. It's at a new area in City Park. So there were a lot of unknowns about it, but now we know. So our plan is to meet with the administration, City Park, as well as the festival producers, to find out exactly what can be done to mitigate this. And mitigate is me being very polite in saying it. It was absolutely overwhelming. If, depending on where you lived, you were in the festival. They should have charged you for admission. But anyway, I want to give everyone an update. If you have any complaints or issues with it, by all means, send it to me. Most of it revolved around I won't say noise, but the music of the festival. There were some complaints that happened with, excuse me, parking, which kind of segues into my next issue that Lakeview has been dealing with. And once again, the complaints come to me, so I know they've been dealing with it. It's about the parking enforcement that's been going on. Let me start with the festival first and foremost. We have had the festival, we've had a couple of football games. Parking enforcement has the heads up and does a special deployment during those times. And over these last few special events, they're telling me they've written about 800 tickets. So they are aware of it, they're going through, they do make the tickets. For some people, they'll take the ticket. For them, they figure it's worth it, $40 to park for whatever festival they're going to. I haven't received a report of how many vehicles they've towed. That's a little bit more than $40, so that's going to deliver a different blow. Parking enforcement that goes on. We've received a number of complaints in the neighborhood where parking enforcement has come through and people receive tickets. And they're wondering why parking enforcement is coming through a residential neighborhood at whatever time of night it would be to receive the tickets. And as I tell most of them, when this happens, this is a result of a call for service. Someone in the general area of the neighborhood is calling in all likelihood. I have no way of knowing because they don't call me for it. They call directly to 311 or the Public Works office. And there's a call. And whatever it may be, my neighbor's blocking my driveway, there's a truck that's across the sidewalk, whatever it may be. Parking enforcement then deploys PCOs, parking control officers, to go out and they write tickets. Not for that violation, but for all violations they come across when they go out, as they probably should. So I double-checked this with Lieutenant Colonel Mark Jernigan, the head of Public Works. He said that over the last, I think it's 2.5 months or so, in the Lakeview area, he has received 19 calls for service for PCOs to come out and patrol through a neighborhood. 19. So that's 19 different times that someone in the area is calling for PCOs to come in. This explains why these patrols come in. It's really hard for me to say, what to do at this point, except I want to point out a couple of things, because there are certain things that we do. I put myself in it. The most common one that perplexes people is indeed a violation. If you're parking facing the wrong way of traffic on the street, you are indeed in violation. I had a friend, I parked facing the wrong way on his street until the day he moved. I thought the street was the one way I did it so often. The day I'm moving, I finally find out. I saw a car driving up towards me and I realized, I've been doing this wrong for the last 12 years. But I just wanted to explain people with that. Same thing with parking across the sidewalk, which is a common violation that happens. We don't have the parking at corners so much here as we do, like say, in the uptown area, but that's another common one that people go through and they receive tickets for. So right now we're trying to meet with them to find out, exactly, what can be done about this and whether it's a better public relations message that can be sent out, maybe to the neighborhood association, whatever, about parking and that the parking enforcement's coming through. But I wanted to give that explanation there. We had the Colonel Mark Jordan look into it to find out exactly what the source of this was. A couple of other things. I usually touch on it this time of year because, as you can see, it gets dark very early now. Our streetlight repair is moving at the fastest rate that it has since Katrina. We are under 3,000 lights out. That's the best rate that we've had since I've been here with the District Day office. They're continuing to move forward on. They're making a lot of conversions to LEDs from the sodiums. Hopefully, the budget funding will come through that we're looking for this year to continue this. But of course, I just want to let you know that that is something that I alert the Public Works Department about usually in August to let them know that they're going to have to start amplifying their street lights out. I can say this once again, nothing scientific, there's no measure behind it, no study from MIT, but usually that first week after time changes, I'm bombarded with street light outage issues. Bombarded, because instantly people are coming home in the dark. I have not had that experience thus far. I'm inclined to believe that the streetlight repair is going on the pace that Public Works is representing. A couple of other things real quickly I want to touch on. One is Florida Lee Park. The school board has been working with the city for a transference of Florida Lee Park to the city. The project is yet to be scoped out. NORD-C is going to provide capital projects with a plan, and the capital project of the project of formulating the scope of work. Once the budget is approved, capital projects will begin an evaluation timeline. And my understanding is that should happen sometime in January. And then finally, with Gurnett Brown, the Gurnett Brown project for the next couple of weeks, the contractor will be fencing off the building and getting the area prepared for the work that's going on there. The first phase will be demolition. The building is going to be receiving the new electrical units. It's not going to be used for storage anymore, and they're looking for the project to be completed shortly after that. So if anybody have any general questions, I've been up here long enough as it is now. Wait, okay, the front, yes.
The noise ordinance that the city requires all of us to follow. How come Voodoo Fest doesn't have to follow those same ordinances? And why do they just not shut it down from the LCIA, or at least give them a warning instead of carrying it from year to year to year and nothing gets done?
Right, and the question, I don't know if everyone here, this is, why doesn't Voodoo Fest, and for that festival, not Voodoo, all festivals have to adhere to the same noise ordinance. And that's a question that's being answered by the administration. Me personally, I think that something has to be done with the festivals. I understand they're a different situation. I have my own suggestions that I look forward to discussing with them. It is absolutely, and granted, I get a different styles of music for different people, but there's a very driving, heavy music that goes on with that. I guess a pound of lead is the same as a pound of leather, but I mean a pound of feathers, but this is lead here. And the short story, or short answer to that question is that something that has to be evaluated, and probably, I think we have to start looking to put that in place when we're looking at festivals that are outgrowing their original scope. Yes, ma'am, way in the back there.
What is being envisioned for the park?
That part I don't know. I have to be honest. I'm not sure what the designation of it is as a park. So I'm inclined to believe that that's exactly where it will stay.
It will be kept as a park?
That is my inclination to believe, yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'm new to the neighborhood. I'm just curious if you're available for conversation after the meeting.
All the time.
All right.
All the
I don't
time.
want to re-ask questions.
No. I am highly accessible.
All right.
Yes.
Rico, you went over the Fleur de Lis Park, listed it as an item on the agenda, but I'm going to tell you, that is a great thing that Susan and Sarah have worked out to secure that park, to stay in the park.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you, I want to thank you and your office, Susan Gibson, for your efforts on that.
Absolutely our pleasure.
I live near that park, it's some great news.
Yes, as I said, thank you. All indications are that it will be remaining a park. Yes, sir.
Okay, between the sound barriers, you could put a dog park up there. Why you could put a sound barrier between the neighborhoods, but you could put a dog park there, but you can't put a sound barrier between the neighborhoods when our elderly don't have to hear that music, but even though they can hear it overall.
Sound barrier, where are we talking about? At City Park?
City Park.
Right. Well, obviously, the city can't put a sound barrier in City Park. That's City Park.
Yeah.
And this is one thing that...
But you still can plant trees to cover it up to make the sound barrier go the other way.
I can tell you this. I was out there at Voodoo Fest.
Yeah,
Unless you plant... Right, that's what I'm saying. Unless you're planting Pacific Northwest redwoods, it's not going to happen. The stage, this is not exaggeration. The stage was as high as this in here. So the trees aren't the issue with this. Sound walls aren't going to be the issue with this. The issue with this is,
Sound barriers.
yeah, the sound barriers aren't going to be the issue with this. The issue with this is they're going to have to,
Trees that whisper.
right.
They go back the other way.
They're going to have to, because we can't be erecting sound barriers that are as high as, I mean, the stage is as high as this.
I'm not saying.
What's going to happen with this is they're going to have to back off the volume. And if they have a better solution, I'm going to be interested to hear it. Like I said, I was able out there to go and see it. I know exactly how far it went. All right? Thank you.
Sir, can you address your question in the back, if you don't mind? Thank you. Next up, we're going to have a little bit more information on Fleur-de-Lis Park from Roy Arago, who's going to give the school board representative report, because Sarah Houston is in Kentucky visiting her mother who hurt her hip. So,
Thank you, Ann. Good evening, folks. I'm Roy Arago. Sarah was out of town. She asked me, she had a few things she wanted to let y'all know. Okay, we'll close it. Okay. A few things that Sarah asked me to update you on regarding the school board. School performance scores were released and the results show that New Orleans games continue. And she wanted me to congratulate Hines with a 107A rating. Only 5% of the students attend a failing school, and that is down from 62% in 2005. A couple of comments she wanted me. This is to read. This is from an editorial that was in the Times-Picayune. When combined, the School Recovery District and the Orleans Parish School Board school systems have moved up 29 spots in state rankings, while traditionally other low-performing systems are still where they were. ACT scores have risen significantly for city students, and on numerous statistical measurements, New Orleans schools as a whole are close to the state average instead of the bottom where they have been. If you'd like more information about those scores and statistics, those can be found on online on Educate Now. That's educatenow.net. She also asked me to tell you about the school superintendent search has finally begun, and they are interested in input from the citizens of New Orleans. They'd like to hear about the profile that you would like to have for your next superintendent. And if you're interested in providing that input, that can be done one of two ways. There's a survey that is on the Orleans Parish School Board website, and there's also going to be a number of meetings where they're gathering input. I would guess those are on the website as well, but she's got those here. They're all at 6 p.m. Tuesday, November 12th at the Library in New Orleans East, Wednesday, November 13th at McDonough 35, or Thursday, November 14th at the Landry Walker High School in Algiers. Oh, and she does have it here that there's also a survey on the school board website, and that is survey.ecragroup.com, and there's a link to that on the school board website as well. Lastly, and Enrico covered it, but Sarah's been working on transferring the Fleur-de-Lis Park from ownership being held by the Orleans Parish School Board to the City of New Orleans. Sarah Houston and Susan Gibbery have been working real hard on that, and that is just about done. And in fact, I hadn't heard any word to pass this week, and it's possible that that transfer has actually occurred. And again, that's great news, because that piece of property has been on is potentially going up for auction and was going to be developed into residential, and we sure don't want that to happen. We want to keep that apart, and it looks like that's what's going to happen to it. So I personally thank Sarah and Susan Gibbery for their efforts on it. That came out of a meeting that Mark Landrew, Freddie Yoder, and myself met with Sarah Houston and board member Woody Koppel in early October, and we pounded out a game plan and it worked. So that's all I have. I don't know if there's any questions. I'll be glad to answer them if I can. Okay, thank you very much.
next up we have Sergeant Joe Bouvier, Update on LCPD.
Thank you. Good evening. Just a couple of quick things. I'll try to make this short. Crime-wise, September, we had a very low month compared to last year. Crime was down 67%. We only had 20 crimes in September. In October, crime was down 14%. We only had 12 crimes in Lakeview. And as of this date, we only have 1 crime in November in Lakeview. So those are really good numbers. For the year, we have 214 crimes for the year, which is 22.5% below last year so far. So it looked like we're going to have a good year. I'm going to get away from crime real quick and tell you that starting the day after Thanksgiving, thanks to the board, they approved, we're going to have a walking beat on Harrison Avenue through December 31st, so that we'll have extra security out around the businesses at night to keep there from being any car burglaries, any possible other crimes in that area. So I've been able to staff an extra man walking Harrison Avenue around all the businesses and parking lots from the day after Thanksgiving through New Year's Eve. So that'll be good, good for Harrison Avenue. I think it'll be good for the residents to see somebody on foot walking the parking lots and the businesses, and just doing some community policing. And then for all those who got it, I sent a short text message out or an email out this evening. We have a young fellow that walked out of a rehab center, a mandated rehab center last night. He's a Lakeview resident, and he's also committed some burglaries. And if anyone knows him, I'm going to give you his name and his age. If you know him and see him, please let us know. Call 911. I've notified intensive probation. They have revoked him. There's going to be a court case out for his arrest tomorrow, so we can pick him back up if we can find him. His name is Ryan Faber, F-A-B-E-R. He's about 19 years old. He's a white male. He's about 5'7", thin build, and very close-cut hair, shorter than mine. If you know him personally and you see him, please call 911 so we can come out and try to pick him up. He walked out of, like I said, he walked out of a court-ordered detention for narcotics recovery, and he's back on the street. Unfortunately, we stopped him last night, but he wasn't wanted last night. And so then when I called probation and parole, they told me that they were definitely issuing a detainer for him because he is mandated by the court to be in this center. So if anyone knows him and anyone sees him, just call 911 so we can try to pick him up. And he hangs with some other criminals, so we want to try and keep them on the Lakeview. He was across the, where was he last night? Last night he was a block from his home, which is on Canal Boulevard. His mother lives in the 6600 block of Canal, and he was a block from his home when he was stopped. So he may be hanging in the area. He may be gone. He may have gone someplace else because he got stopped by the police and they may have chased him away. I don't know if he's in Lakeview. All I'm saying is if you see him, if you know him and you see him, just call so we can try to pick him up. We're going to be actively looking for him because we don't want him out here, committing any burglaries or, bringing in any of his. I'm sorry. His hair is really short and it's light in color, almost light brown or blonde in color. Okay, if you see me, you probably won't even notice he's got more than peach fuzz if he has that. Okay, and like I said, he's thin build. He's 19 years of age, about 5'7", and he normally dresses with he'll wear gym shorts hanging way down below his waist, and t-shirts, things like that. So he doesn't dress very well, so he'll be easy to spot. Again, if you know him, you'll know who he is. There was something else I wanted to bring up. Anyway, that's about all I have. Like I said, crime is down. Oh, I wanted to tell you, in case you didn't know, that one of the reasons our crime is down, if you didn't get my emails from the last couple of months, is the Lakeview officers, 3rd District detectives, and task force members arrested 8 people that were involved in burglaries, car burglaries, tire thefts, all in Lakeview. And most of them are out of jail on bond, but they seem to be staying away from Lakeview. And maybe we chase them away and they're afraid to come back here. One thing is we know who they are, so that may be a good reason they're not coming back here right now. And let's hope we can keep them out of here permanently. We've already issued new arrest warrants for a couple of them for some cases that our detectives were able to close. So there are good things happening with the LCPD, and the board is working with us very strongly to keep this the LCPD. Thank you very much.
I'd like to recognize Rachel Schultz. She's in the back. She is the branch manager for the Robert E. Lee Smith Library. She asked to come and set up a table, so if we had any questions or we had any comments or suggestions, we could bring them to her attention and she could do what she can. So thank you for coming. We appreciate it, and we love the beautiful library in our neighborhood. Thank you. I also want to mention something I forgot in the thank yous. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, but you and Connie participated in the evacueers, you know, that thing with the hurricanes that we had a couple meetings ago. Well, because they participated, and that was to help people, train people, to help people get in and out of New Orleans, or out of New Orleans for storms. And they attended that training, and I think we're going to hopefully get some grant money from that effort. So I wanted to thank you, because what you all do is just so much, and I can't believe you took on that extra task, but we thank you, and we're going to benefit from it. So thank you. We're going to ask Nancy to come up now and recognize our business members and also EMS, who you may have noticed are here.
First, I'd like to recognize the Lakeview businesses for the Night Out Against Crime. We had the kickoff party at Gulf Coast Bank down the street, and the following restaurants and businesses participated, which we really appreciate. It makes it a great success for all the residents that are not having block parties, as well as the first responders and the public officials that attend the party, as well as our board. But Mondo, Tasty, Chicken Sue's, Two Tonys, Pizza Nola, Cafe Navarre, Nola Beans, Kazas, Party Rentals, Parlays, Reginelli's, Bulldog, Velvet Cactus, Gulf Coast Bank for hosting it at their location. I'd like to thank a few of our board members, Brian Anderson, Tim Lott, the Savant family for helping us out, and then DJ Brett Bonin, who came and spun records or CDs all night. We also are going to have some Lakeview Fest posters for sale. If you look in your newsletter, there's a form there where you can purchase those. We're hoping to have a little push through Christmas, raise a little extra money for the association. And we're also going to have a firefighters recognition, a 2-week recognition for them at the groceries, where you'll be able to purchase grocery items to stock their kitchens for the year. Most people don't realize it, but they have to buy groceries for their homes, and then they turn around and they have a fund that they have to put money into for just basic items that they all use at the firehouse on a weekly basis. So this is a nice way for us to chip in and help them. Any money that might be collected for that will be used for milk and butter and different things like that. We'll have a card available for them, for the house captain to keep. So we have some very, very special visitors tonight. Our EMS. I'd like these guys to stand up. And I'm going to ask Dr. Jeff Elder to come up and tell us about some of the things that are going on. And in the meantime, I'm going to let you know about a special recognition that they have received. This is actually in print. New Orleans EMS has won an award recognizing the agency as the best of its kind in the country by the National Association of Emergency Medical Technicians. New Orleans EMS received the 2012 Dick Furno EMS Service of the Year Award. at the EMS World Expo at the Ernest Memorial Convention Center. This award is given to just one service annually because it excels in patient care and embraces the latest science in pre-hospital medicine, commitment to education, and has unique capabilities such as swift water rescue medics and bicycle medics. Marilyn and Drew can be quoted as saying, Dr. Jeffrey Elder is a testament to the hard work of our paramedics and emergency medic technicians, without whom we would not be successful as an EMS agency. The mayor mentioned now that the country also knows we have the best in the nation. So without further ado, Dr. Jeff Elder.
Thank you for having us here. I've known some of the board members for quite a while. You mentioned my father was the 3rd District Commander and the LCPD Commander. So I've been around Lakeview for years and years and years. So, you know, we did last year the Paid Service of the Year. I'd like to thank the 150 men and women that we have that work for us. They really work hard every single day. We have an extremely busy service. Our paramedics run call to call to call, and we have a very high acuity. So we see a lot of sick patients. We work hard every day. My goal as an emergency physician and the medical director is really to have the best in pre-hospital care delivered to your doorstep when someone calls 911. So things that we do in the emergency department, we also do in the field. We have some of our equipment here. We have, you know, brand new monitors that are, allow us to both monitor the patient, to transmit data to the hospital. We have CPR devices. The Lucas device is a cardiac arrest compression device that allows us to do continuous compression, so you no longer, when performing CPR, dealing with multiple providers, going every 2 minutes, in and out, in and out. You have a device that starts CPR and never stops until you turn it off. And so we've had some really good success rates with our cardiac arrest survival in the community, and something that we're really proud of. So I'd like to thank our medics for being out there every day, doing a very difficult job under sometimes difficult circumstances, and in providing a great service to the community. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nancy. We don't have any other businesses or people in the back other than Neighborhood Watch. I want to draw your attention to their table. If you're interested in Neighborhood Watch, they do an awesome job. Barbara Seletis and Richard Lane and Reed Raymond. So visit their table if you're interested. I just recently recruited somebody on our block, and she's just done a great job. So next up, we have J.T. Hannon. He is here to talk about a new liaison committee, so to speak, between police and community. And he's going to explain all about it. J.T. Hannon.
Thank you, Ann. Excuse me. My name is J.T. Hannon. I'm a resident of our neighborhood. And last year, as a federal consent decree was kind of dominating the discussion around NOPD, there was an advertisement put out by the mayor's office that sought volunteers to serve on police community action boards. And essentially what those are community-based boards that are community liaisons between NOPD and the neighborhoods for each police district. So I answered the ad and I was selected to be on the board along with 6 other District 3 residents. And basically each member of the board represents a different neighborhood within District 3. So I'm the Lakeview representative. There's a member from Gentilly, from St. Roch, from Industrial Canal area, because the 3rd Police District runs all the way from Industrial Canal to 17th Street Canal, and then deep into the Marigny and Mid-City. So I think by everyone's standards, these new police community action boards had a tough start. They weren't rolled out well. And so in July, there was a bit of a reboot where DOJ handed off to NOPD I guess the administration of these boards. And during that time, Lucas Diaz, who was with the mayor's office, transitioned to Ray Bowman. So there was kind of a lot of turnover and change within the structure. But the topics covered in the reboot, and that's kind of what's governing the new process. Police community action boards are intended to be a community liaison between the NOPD district leadership and the neighborhoods, bridging the gap between police and community. It's intended to be advisory in nature so that residents have a concern or suggestion and they're not comfortable speaking to NOPD, they can come to this board who will then share with NOPD in a more confidential manner. Quality of life issues and community concerns are really the two main areas for the police community action boards. An example of that, one participant mentioned that in the French Quarter he saw some NOPD officers posing for photos with the tourists, and when a shopkeeper came out and asked for some help, he had something else to do. So kind of issues like that are what we're trying to address as far as that. It is not an oversight board. Members do not have subpoena power or the right to review internal NOPD documentation. NOPD can provide some policy and procedure information at the discretion of the district commander. The boards are expected to be quarterly, and these are part of the neighborhood participation plan, which is another initiative that the city has pushed out. The boards all have a president, a VP, a secretary, and 4 directors, and I'm the president of the 3rd District Board. So one of the things when I was elected director, I wanted each member to go out to their neighborhoods and tell people that this board exists, and also seek the public's input on issues that might rise to the level of PCAB participation. We do meet with Chief Surpass once a year, so kind of my game plan moving forward is that I want to collect from the neighborhoods any concerns that residents might have about police force, quality of life, issues that are not being addressed to their satisfaction. If it's very important and timely, we'll go straight to the district commander and discuss it with him. But we will collate everything and address that with Chief Surpass in our yearly meeting. So it's just, it's kind of hard to explain. I think this is not a big a deal for Lakeview as it is for some of the other neighborhoods where there is a lot more mistrust of police, but we have an exceptional crime prevention district here in Lakeview, very engaged neighborhood. So some of the issues here might not rise to the level that some of the other neighborhoods might have, but I'm just basically appearing tonight to just let y'all know what's going on, to give you my contact information. My cell is 214-3118. If you've got any questions about police, this board, what's going on, don't hesitate to call. And then there is a confidential email address, and it's PCAB, P-C-A-B, district3@nola.gov. So if you have a complaint or an issue, send to that email, and that will be addressed by the board. If there's any interest in serving on the board, there has been some attrition within the 3rd District board, so you can contact me and I'll put you in touch with the right people. Any questions?
How do we get in touch with you?
Myself, 504-214-3118, and then I've got the longest email address in New Orleans. It's jthannon@bayoudistrictfoundation.com. Contact me. Yes, the question from Ann was, does the PCAB District 3 email, do I have access to it? Yes. It's just me and the VP of the board, Kathy Boucher, from the same neighborhood. All right. Have a good evening.
And I'll tell you, there are a lot of quality of life issues that I've already sent to JT, and I hope he can help us with, because even though we are a great neighborhood and we have a great LCPD, there are quality of life issues, and they may seem small to some, but if you're next door to that quality of life issue, it's a big deal to you. So I intend to rely on him when I get complaints, and you all can email him directly. All right, next up, we talked about noise a little bit earlier about Voodoo Fest. We're going to talk about noise in a little different vein. We have Carol Allen and Jill McGoey. I'm sure I butchered that. But they are with the group, French Quarter Advocacy Group, and I think Jill is with the Maroney. And they are a group of people trying to kind of have a united voice with the City Council on changes to the noise ordinance. And they're going to spend about 5 minutes talking about that, and we'll hope to learn something.
Thank you for having us. And I wrote down that PCAB address too. And welcome to our world, you know, the policemen posing with the tourists in the French Quarter. Thank you for having us. My name is Carol Allen. I'm president of Bucharest Property Owners, Residents, and Associates. We call that BCPORA. It is a 75-year-old advocacy organization trying to preserve the French Quarter. We're here tonight to talk to you a little bit about the proposed noise ordinance citywide that's coming up, and hopefully to get the support of this organization. We have 19 supporting organizations on board. We'd like for you to be our 20th. But I'd like to give you a little bit of background information. About 2.5 years ago, we got word that City Hall was getting ready to redo the noise ordinance. Being sort of the heart of noise issues in the city, a group of residents from the French Quarter, the Maroney, got together and solicited input from other neighborhoods who have noise issues, such as Warehouse District, Maple Street, Oak Street, and so forth. And we started meeting on a regular basis. And after 2 years, we finally came up with one set of 7, what we call 7 essentials for a fair and enforceable sound ordinance. We're now calling it sound, not noise, because noise is pejorative. It already gives you a negative impression. So this committee came up with 7 essentials. The first thing we had to do was take those essentials back to our individual organizations and get board endorsement from our own boards. Once we got that, we took it citywide. And it is extremely satisfying to go to community organizations such as yours and find out how all of the organizations operate a little differently, but we're all so committed to preserving our neighborhoods. And that is so refreshing, really, and we need it. And so you might say, well, why us? We don't have any noise issues. Well, you just mentioned Voodoo Fest. I can tell you that we got a lot of calls just because we're known for the noise essentials from people around City Park complaining about Voodoo Fest. When Buku Fest was on the river, that noise went up and down the river, from the other side of the river down to, I think, I don't remember how far, the canal or something. It was so loud. Festivals are popping up everywhere. This is not going to stop. And I think, as you might know, when you have a business in your neighborhood that is a perfectly good neighbor, and it's just maybe a quiet little neighborhood bar, the ownership changes, and suddenly you've got a live entertainment venue in your neighborhood. And that can be very detrimental in a lot of different ways. We have a situation in the French Quarter right now, a bar that's been operating fine on Royal Street. Suddenly a new owner has come in, and now they're having live entertainment every night. And this is in a residential area. It's down on the downtown end of Royal Street. It's not up near Canal. So these things creep up. And what we're trying to do is get citywide support to give our city council the backing that it needs to get a sound ordinance pushed through this council. We think this council is the one to do it. Councilmember Jackie Clarkson is the one who told us to come see you, so I don't know, you guys must have a thing with Jackie. But she wanted us to get on your agenda, and we believe the timing is right, and we really need your support, and we're going to show you all the other groups who are supporting. But Jill McGowie from the Maroney is going to talk you through a few of the points. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank
for having us. Carol does a terrific job leading the DC Quora, but she's also very diplomatic, and she has to be, so I get to come as a citizen activist and tell you how it's really going on. We are at war, people. The city is growing, neighborhoods are filling in, a lot of new people moving in from out of state, and it's wonderful and it's healthy, and we need our economy to diversify, but that also brings added pressure to the delicate ecosystem of work and life, business and residence. So that was really the impetus for this committee, and we looked deeply into what laws were on the books, and we wanted to shine a light on what wasn't on the books. So here we go. We really only need to talk about 5 of these 7 very quickly. So number 1, as you can read for yourself, we want establishments that do offer live entertainment to take reasonable measures to assure that they're in compliance. We don't want them to just easier to ask forgiveness than permission. We want them to be proactive and make sure they're thinking about sound issues, they're checking their doors and windows and the place where sound escapes, that they're mindful of their neighbors and that they're listening to concerns. Number 2, we want the city to appoint and budget for and pay for a full-time person who will have the authority to enforce the issues that are coming up and enforce the laws that are on the books. That used to be controlled by the health department and it worked pretty well. We think that there needs to be a full-time person who can keep track of complaints. There can be a publicly accessible database where we can track what's being reported and what's being hopefully not swept under the rug anymore. Number 3, we want to make sure that the ordinance is clear. We want to make sure it's technically clear so that business owners don't have any excuses for ignoring it or violating it. And we want that sound to be measured at the property line from where the sound emanates. So you don't have to worry about, well, I can hear it in my courtyard or I can hear it in my backyard or not. If it can be heard and measured at the place where it's escaping from, that's the number we want to deal with. Okay, number 4. Currently, I think the penalty for violating a noise ordinance is what, Carol, $500?
Maximum fine for any municipal violation is $500.
Maximum fine. So to a small business, maybe that's a deterrent, but to some of the larger establishments, that's nothing. That's the price of doing business. They're making money hand over fist, and unless we get the state legislator to support us and allow either higher or unlimited fees, there's just no stick to beat the dog with. And the last one that y'all really need to be concerned about is mayoralty permits. This is kind of one of those, only in New Orleans, backdoor ways you can get a permit for a business through safety and permits. It's not something the mayor is putting his stamp on. This is just another department where you can have your business licensed to have live entertainment, where you can get a permit for a street festival or a park festival, and that's been kind of a murky process that people aren't really even aware is happening. We want to bring that into the light and make sure that when people are applying for a one-time or a short-term mayoralty permit, that there's public notification and a chance for all of us to comment on that permit before it is issued. The last 2 items really pertain mostly to the French Quarter and have to do with decibel levels. Carol, do we need to get into that here?
The only thing I would say, and be wary of this, is that several years ago, suddenly our city council, determined in District C, changed the decibel limits in our neighborhood. And all we want to do is, I was an old school teacher, but anyway, all we want to do is go back to the decibel levels we had then. All of you know that amplifiers are much stronger now, doors are being left open. So if we could just get the decibel levels back to where we had them, and I think it was 1997, then we'd be very happy with that. And that's what the decibel levels are in Jill's neighborhood in the Marigny right now. So yes, it only pertains to us. But what we find out is that what starts in the quarter kind of crawls, to the rest of the city. So just be aware. We need to finish. So, Anne Marie, we're done. But we want you to vote. we want you to vote and support us.
Thank you so much. Yeah, there are other organizations that are supporting them, and they're up on the screen. And we will take this to the board, and we appreciate the information. I didn't know anything about it, so now we do, and we will let you know, okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Carol. Okay, now we're going to move on to our committee reports. We don't have too many of them, and I remind you about our door prize tonight. If you didn't sign up, we have we're going to pick at the end of the meeting, and we have a gift certificate to Young's Cleaners, and we have a Lakeview Fest poster. So if you haven't done it, go put your name on a ticket so I can draw it in a few minutes. All right, we're going to get right to our committee reports. We have Ty Savant with the Community Activities Committee with a lot of cool announcements about things coming up.
Okay, so one of the first things, it's not the first thing coming up, but the first thing I do want to talk about is we have a children's business fair. It is December 7th from 9 to 11 at St. Paul's. And we have a short little video clip that you can watch to just tell you a little bit more about that.
This is the 5th year of the Children's Business Fair, the 2011 edition. It started with a handful of neighborhood kids who wanted to sell their wares. And it went from 10 booths to 20 to 40 to 80 to what we have today. So what inspired it was the children themselves.
Well, 3 things we look for: most original, highest business potential, and the best presentation. So I've been interviewing all of the prospective business people here at the show, and lots of good ideas.
I'm selling baseball cards, Pokemon cards, and Legos. 1986 New York Mets when they won the World Series. That's the best card I have right now.
We're doing scavenger hunts. We have one city-wide where you drive around town, special parts of Boston that we really never knew that we were buying. You can use the toys in the bag to play 5 different games.
I asked one young entrepreneur, about her business, and she could tell me about her cost of goods sold and how much money she was making per product. I've also been inspired by the interest to give back. There's one that has bracelets and bookmarks for Bastrop, where a percentage goes to the people affected by the fires. It's fun to see young entrepreneurs thinking how their business can affect people beyond themselves. I think it's really inspiring for a 6-year-old to have that vision.
I'm selling cupcakes, and I'm also raising money for cancer because my grandpa was just diagnosed. So I'm taking what I love and also going to help out a little bit. With the money that I collect, we buy art and craft supplies for the Children's Hospital. Since we're using recycled material, we're recreating it. We call it University because there's some kits here. Yeah, so make it yourselves.
One of the most surprising thing is you see trends in businesses, but you see actually the effects of competition from year to year and new ideas, and the kids learn they have to innovate and think of something new every year if they want to have a great booth.
I made all the products here, and I'm also doing custom embroidery.
It's been so great. I think what they've built here is great. Just promotes such a healthy attitude around starting your own business and giving kids confidence to go out and do these things. So it's really been great.
To just have the concept of making something and selling it and interacting and marketing, really all of the elements of running your own business at such a young age, and I hope it continues to grow and invite more people in.
I think if we make entrepreneurship much more difficult than it should be, because children know better than we do that there are only 3 things that matter. You have to make something with your own hands, sell it for more than it costs you to make, and have cash left over in the end. If you get that spark in children, I think you set them on a path to be entrepreneurs for life. Stand up and cheer if you make money today. Stand up and cheer. That is awesome.
fairs open for children from 5 to 18. They can sell individually or up to 4 kids at a booth. It can be anything from something that they made, from something that's edible to, something that they recycled. So we are encouraging you to do 2 things. If you have a child between those ages, encourage them to participate in the fair, and you can register on the website. We are closing registration November 15th, just to allow us time to go through and have a little directory printed up before the fair. And if you don't have a child between those ages, you can help by coming out on December 7th from 9 to 11 and seeing what they made and supporting the kids by purchasing their items. Let's see, the next, it is at St. Paul's, and St. Paul's in the gym from 9 to 11. Before that, 2 days before that, which is why registration closes November 15th, is Holidays on Harrison, which is December 5th. It's a Thursday night from 5:30 to 8:30. We will have, same schools, same setup as last year actually. So we'll do it in the parking lot. It'll be at night this time because one of the complaints that we had last year, if there was one, it was just that we didn't get to turn on the lights because it was during the day. So this time we're trying it at night, and unfortunately the only night we could find was during the week. So we're doing it Thursday night. So we hope that you guys can come out and support us at that event. And it's not too late to make a donation to help support Holidays on Harrison. So if you have a business, or you can make a business or personal donation. If you have a business, you can also donate items, or we're going to do a scavenger hunt where you really go around to stores from either Harrison Avenue, Middle Harrison, or West Harrison to encourage people to kind of cross that line and go to West Harrison, where you'll get little cards stamped from businesses that are still open. So there'll be lots of fun activities to do that evening. Ann mentioned earlier about the gardening workshop that we had at Lakeview Presbyterian, which was a beautiful event. We went out there and dug up that cinder block garden that they had, sort of blocking the green space. So that's gone. We recycled that and put it in the planter. So we planted herbs and some veggies in the planter boxes that are out there, which, by the way, are for the community. So if you want some rosemary, you can go up there and snip some rosemary. And they did that a couple of years ago when they started it, but it got overgrown because nobody was taking it, but I believe that was because people didn't realize they could. So now you know that you can. There are watering cans out there, so if you're out there one day and you see that it looks a little dry, fill up the watering can and go water the plants. It really is a community playground, an area for us. So it's really, we're partnering with them to help take care of it. They are starting a playground committee, and we're looking for about 2 more people from the neighborhood to be on that committee. So if you're interested, you can send an email to community.activities@lakeviewcivic.org. I think that is it, except for the fact that there is still some cake left back there, and a few other desserts, so please go and get that before you leave tonight.
Thank you, Todd. So many things going on. Okay, next up we have an update on Vernon Brown. Trey Babin, who's on the North Sea for our CAT, cannot be here, but Todd was at the meeting and he has all the good information.
Just a brief update, Enrico touched on it, but on October 29th, I attended a pre-construction meeting for Vernon Brown, so that process is now underway. They're fencing it off. You see a lot of work out there removing what was stored in there. There's been a lot of news articles recently, so I just want to clarify a few things. The project was reported in City Business and newspaper as a $1.9 million project, which is accurate, except about $500,000 of that is for architectural fees, design fees, etc. So really about $1.4 million is going into the renovation of it. Just so there's no misunderstanding, the word demolition was used earlier, that building is not being demolished. It will be a renovated job, but the renovation work for the $1 million in the gym would be the removal and renovation of all storm damaged property, metal roof, windows, draining systems, stucco, glass repair, repainting the entire facility, refinishing the wood floors that are there. We also have had some communications with the project manager this week that if the floor cannot be repaired, then it would be replaced. But the idea is to refinish the wood floors, replacing all bathroom fixtures, replacing HVAC, heating, air conditioning, etc. Timeline on that, is anticipated to be a 6-month project, so substantial completion would be in the early part of the second quarter of 2014. So that's not too terribly down the road, and hopefully the kids will be able to get in there by summertime, and certainly in time for the fall basketball and indoor soccer, et cetera, for next year. So we're very, very excited this project is finally moving on. As Ann mentioned, Trey Babin, Brad Moret, and others have formed a Lakeview, as part of NORD's community outreach program. We have a Lakeview team in place that meets regularly and will be working with the project manager and the firm on this. While there's only $1.4 million in the budget, there are opportunities for other entities, either foundations or private fundraising, that can enhance that particular playground. So we'll be looking for ways to do that as well. But we're certainly excited this is moving forward. And if you have any questions regarding this whatsoever, we anticipate this to be fairly smooth, but feel free to reach out to Lakeview Civic and we can put you in contact with Trey, Brad, and the rest of the group. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Next up, we have Freddie Yoder, Infrastructure Committee, to talk about a lot of different things.
All right, we're going to roll on this. Harrison Avenue is way ahead of schedule. It's 70% finished. The north side of Harrison Avenue between Memphis and Argonne, including the lights, are nearly complete. The only thing left to do is to hook up the lights. Preparation for the neighborhood holiday that's coming up that Ty just talked about. The landscaping is being done on that neutral ground to replace whatever bushes may have died, and also try to complete the landscaping on the Canal Boulevard neutral ground. If you went by there tonight, you'll notice that there's 3 little gem magnolias that have been planted on that neutral ground. That's the start of a big planting bed that'll go in the middle of it. The power is underground, and it will be turned on and available in that first part, in that first neutral ground section, where they're going to light up all the Christmas lights. The walking path on Argonne and the Orleans Street Canal down across from School is finished. The new irrigation system and brick walking paths on Harrison Avenue between Canal Boulevard and Vicksburg is complete. All of the underground irrigation systems have been installed on all of the neutral grounds. They're all up and not quite active yet because they haven't connected the backflow preventers on them, but they're very close. The brick sidewalks, curbs, and street patching on the south side. As you all know, that south side was the last side that we started on, and the reason for that was they installed a new 6-inch water line and a new gas line on that side, so we needed to do the north side first in order to give those subcontractors an opportunity to get that work out in front. New drainage lines have all been installed. There's about 9,000 trees and bushes and plants that are going to be planted on those neutral grounds up and down the street. That planting season is starting right now, and over the next couple of weeks, you should see a lot of change as far as the number of trees and planting beds that are going up and down. There will also be some striping that will be done in the street, and that striping will designate a shared bicycle lane that will go up and down on Harrison Avenue as well. So I'll be available afterwards if you have any questions. The project is going to finish ahead of schedule. If you look right here, these are the areas that are left, and if you notice the beginning date and the ending date, you'll see that there's about 2 months of work that's left to be done in those areas to finish all the sidewalks, curbs, and whatnot. There's probably another 30 days after that to do touch-up work, to do punch list items, and to get the things up and running. So the project's going to finish probably 60 days ahead of schedule. So it's moving right along. The Lighting the Way project, which y'all have heard us talk about, that's on the big neutral ground over at Pontchartrain Boulevard and West End. Everybody knows about those walking paths and bicycle paths that are out there. The plans have now been completed. I think a lot of people in this room have attended galas and fundraisers to help us raise the money that's necessary to do that. The plans are now complete. Plans have been stamped and turned over to regional planning. Regional planning has submitted the drawings to the Department of Transportation and Development. There will be a base bid that will include lights on 80-foot centers. There'll be 128 big, beautiful lights, the same type of lights that you'll have on Harrison Avenue. It'll look almost like a continuation of Harrison Avenue. So there's 128 of those lights. There'll be an additional 42 lights that will be in alternate number 1. Those 42 lights will go on the west side of that neutral ground in areas where we don't have any sidewalks yet, but we're working on a grant. This is another endeavor that we're working on, not lighting the way, but a separate endeavor to get sidewalks and bicycle paths put in all of those areas where they don't have those. So in preparation for that, in this bid for lighting the way, we're going to install the lights. So we feel that that's going to be a good thing. There is a second alternate that allows for, if we decide to do it for LED lighting up and down, that alternate is a lot of money. It's over $200,000 to put LED lights out there. I didn't realize they were so expensive. So when you look at the base bid should come in somewhere around $600,000. When you look at those 42 lights that are going to be put, that's about another $63,000. And when you look at the LED lights, the whole package is going to fall. If you just go with the base bid, it's $600,000. If you go with the whole package and the whole enchilada, it's going to run about $900,000. When we started this endeavor, we were shooting for a 95-5% split, which means the state would pay for 95%. Through fundraisers, the Friends of Lakeview would raise another 5%. That has since changed. You heard me talk about the modification with the state. The state doesn't do 95-5% splits anymore. It's an 80-20 split. So the ante's going up a little bit. We're going to have to raise a little more money, but all hope's not lost because we're still working on an angel maybe that can get us in at the 95-5%. So we're keeping our fingers crossed on that. That kind of takes care of that. That project will get funded in 2004, and hopefully we can, 2014, I'm sorry, 2014, and then hopefully construction can start in 2015. All right, LCPD, you heard me talk last time about the consent decree. I'd like to thank Joe Geruso. Where are you, Joe? Right here. Thank you very much. He and Richard Bordelon, our attorneys, have been meeting with the attorneys and the what do they call the person that you deal with? The Department of Justice. So he's been working with those to try to get us excluded from the consent decree. He's making some headway. We've come up with some options, some different things we can do. On the best side, we get completely excluded. On the other side, maybe we have to make some minor compromises, but as a board, we're working on that. In closing, the meeting this month fell on Thanksgiving Day, so the meeting is still in the St. Dominic Rectory, but it will be on November 20th, and it will be at 6 o'clock. And I want to thank everybody that's been coming out and supporting us with the Lakeview Crime Prevention District.
Thank you, Freddie. Just want to mention briefly, Ray Bergeron is not able to be here tonight. The comprehensive zoning ordinance that the city is considering right now, the public input period ends November 30th. Our zoning committee is calling over the new ordinance and seeing how it affects Lakeview and pointing out issues that they see with it. And they're going to report back to our board, and then we are going to weigh in time for the city to receive that input. So if you have any questions, there's a long article in our newsletter on that on page 9, and you certainly can reach out to either myself or the zoning committee. Next up, we have Taste at the Lake update from Mark Udo.
Speaking about fundraisers for the new Basin Canal Park Lighting the Way project, this is the one we're preparing for. It's our big annual fourth one coming up now on Saturday, April 5th. And it's way ahead of time, but I'm telling you this because we've got a great deal on tickets through December 31st. Only $35 a piece. So great stocking stuffers, great presents for friends. The event is a total blast. It probably had 600 people last year, maybe not quite that many, but 30 restaurants participated. This year we're looking at the band being the Yat Pack, which is phenomenal, great following, will be a kick. So please, get your tickets early. You can go to the website, it's tasteofthelake.org, and we'll have that probably in about a week where you can just get them online and print them out yourself and have them at the door. And a lot of food, a lot of wine, a lot of dancing, and good times. So think about it, great for Christmas presents. So it's coming up. Thanks.
Okay, any other reports or that I've missed? Okay, I think we're done. I'm going to pick the winners of the gift certificate and of the poster. This is for $25 credit to Young's Dry Cleaning, Barbara Saletti. And the winner of the Lakeview Fest poster is Ronald Brink. Very good. Okay, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, and second? Todd seconded. All in favor? Thank you for coming. Y'all have a good night.